All of this is going to take money, and that's why we support getting back to the 2% target as soon as possible. And we will support an additional money for our military.
There you go. Pierre Poilievre literally supports Mark Carney's decision to hit 2% this year. Today, we are taking a look at some new defense spending announcements that Mark Carney, Prime Minister Carney, has already just announced, which is kind of good, I guess. Like, he's already taken to Twitter X saying that he's going to meet the 2% NATO's requirement of our GDP for our defense spending by the end of this year, which is something that Justin Trudeau has failed to do for many, many years, kept passing the buck further and further to the year 2032. So that piece is half good, but also give us a budget. And then we're going to take a look at some question period highlights. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. And without further ado, let's get right into the video.
The long-held view that Canada's geographic location will protect us is becoming increasingly archaic. Threats which felt far away and remote are now immediate and acute. And as our climate changes and the polar ice recedes, Canada's Arctic is becoming more accessible and more vulnerable to commercial and military activity. We've been jolted awake by new threats to our security and sovereignty, including from an emboldened Russia and an assertive China. Russia's barbaric invasion of Ukraine shattered previous assumptions of European post-Cold War security, leading to sharp reappraisals of the costs of collective responsibility and underscoring how precious and precarious are international law, sovereignty, territorial integrity, and human rights. Disregarding these principles would not only betray our values, but also imperil our nation. When we stand up for territorial integrity, whether it's in Ukraine or West Bank and Gaza, we are also standing up for the territorial integrity of the Canadian Arctic. 10 years ago, Canada's defense spending fell to less than 1% of GDP. It has since doubled in cash terms, but it's still not close enough to face these mounting risks. The brave women and men who are protecting our sovereignty do not have the resources they need for a riskier world. Our military infrastructure and equipment have aged, hindering our military preparedness. I'll give an example or two. Only one of our 4 submarines is seaworthy.
That's
Less
pathetic.
than half our maritime fleet and land vehicles are operational. More broadly, we're too reliant on the United States. And so for all those reasons, I'm announcing today that Canada will achieve NATO's 2% of GDP target this year, half a decade ahead of schedule.
Yeah. There it is. Canada's going to hit 2% GDP, or 2% of our GDP is actually going to go finally to our defense spending, which is a decade ahead of time. Justin Trudeau has absolutely ruined our reputation with NATO. He's ruined our potential for defense. He's left us so vulnerable. So good job. I mean, our military needs new equipment. Yeah, it costs money, sure, but something that we can all agree on. Every person with a brain can say, you can't go wrong with putting more money in your defense, especially when you're this far behind. So, you know, I wish I could sit here and criticize them and say, well, how much is it going to cost? If it were Pierre, I'd say, why not 2? Or why 2? Why not 3 or 4%? Like, awesome job. Let's do more. And so I'm going to have that same mentality with this right now. Except not awesome job, good job, I suppose. Let's do more. 2% was yesterday's news. We should be doing 2.5%. I mean, realistically, right? Trump, even President Trump said that why is it only 2%? It should be 4. It should be 4% or something along the lines. He said that a little while ago, but it's a step in the right direction.
And we will further accelerate our investments in years to come. consistent with meeting these new security imperatives. We'll start by changing the way we support and invest in our armed forces. We will change the way we arm the men and women who serve, so we can fight on new battlegrounds in unfamiliar territory, so we can defend every inch of our sovereign territory, from seafloor to the Arctic to cyberspace, so we can protect Canadians, our interests, and our allies. Canada's new government will rebuild, reinvest, and rearm the Canadian Armed Forces with a strategy that rests on 4 pillars. Investing in the foundations of defense, the women and men who serve, and the equipment and infrastructure that they use. Second, we will enhance and expand our military capabilities. Third, we'll strengthen Canada's defense industry.
Okay, so far we've got better equipment, so better weapons, better, I don't know, helmets, upgrade of boots, who knows, right? We don't really know what that means for equipment. More vehicles, updated rifles, updated machine guns. We don't know what that looks like. That'd be cool. Better scopes, right? We don't know what that looks like, but that's good. We can agree that we need better equipment. It's very outdated. It's very, very, very outdated. Second was, I forget what he said, but it was very broad. We're going to do something. The third one was, if I just listened to it, how can I forget it? But that's how non-impactful it was. It's good. It's a step in the right direction, folks. Look, I'm not trying to blow smoke up his butt here. I'm certainly not turning into a Carney shill, but if he stays true to this, that's good. That's good. This is what we wanted Pierre to do. This is just what we wanted to happen with our country.
And we will diversify Canada's defense partnerships. I call on all parties.
Oh yeah,
in
third was our
to support
defense.
these.
Third was our defense. We're going to build a better defense system, or a defense system. So I think that's laying down the groundwork for that golden dome to take place, which is needed. I think it is. How many billions of dollars? To be honest, I don't care. I don't care how many billions of dollars it costs to build a golden dome. I personally don't care. Maybe that makes me, not smart. Maybe that makes me not realistic, whatever word you want to use, but we are so vulnerable. Our North is so vulnerable. We don't have a defense at all. We are literally relying on America. If America went on vacation and another country around the world said, you know what, now we're going to start harassing Canada and just see what that looks like. We don't have a way to defend. Okay, we got a couple planes. We have one submarine that floats or that operates. That's it. That's crazy. We don't have a defense. So build the Golden Dome, put missile defense systems out in farmlands, up in the north, on the west coast, on the east coast, put them everywhere. How many billions of dollars? I don't freaking care, man. I would rather us overspend on a defense system so that we know that we're relatively safe and we can kind of defend ourselves to future threats than not do that. That's my opinion. Maybe that's unrealistic, but that's my opinion.
Critical investments in our security and sovereignty. Our plan will help ensure that Canada is strong at home and reliable abroad. We will ensure that every dollar is invested wisely, including by prioritizing made-in-Canada manufacturing and supply chains. We should no longer send 3/4 of our defense capital spending to America. We will invest in new submarines, aircraft, ships, armed vehicles, and artillery.
Okay.
As well as new radar, drones, and sensors to monitor the seafloor and the Arctic.
Okay.
Nous allons réparer et entretenir
Why no one
les
clapped?
navires.
Why no one clapped but me? Oh, crap. Look, I'm all for it. I'm all for defense spending. I'm not pleased that it's a liberal government again. Really, I'm not. But I'm all for defense spending. And if this guy right here is actually going to pull this off and put all this money into our defense spending, then so be it, man. So be it, because we need the equipment. We need the accelerated training for this new type of warfare with drones, with cyber attacks. We need all that stuff. We need better planes. We need better boats. We need all of it. So that's half decent. I'm on board with it.
Les ailes Coast Guard and integrated. We will expand the reach, security mandate, and the abilities of the Canadian Coast Guard and integrate it into our NATO defense capabilities to better secure our sovereignty and expand maritime surveillance.
Okay.
As part of our new strategic approach to defense and security, we will also establish Borealis, the Bureau of Research, Engineering, and Advanced Leadership in Innovation and Science. Borealis will advance cutting-edge research in artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and other frontier technologies essential to safeguarding our sovereignty.
Is Canada going to be investing in some quantum computing? Just put some quantum computing research facilities in the north and like middle of Saskatchewan or Alberta or Manitoba or even BC, and just throw it up there where it's cold, and then just throw like a bunch of really smart nerds up there that know about quantum computing. Build them a facility, give them all their meals, give them the devil's lettuce, give them the booze, make sure they're staying under control, and just let them do their thing. That's not half bad. Quantum computing is the future, man. One quantum computer can like outpace hundreds of thousands of spec'd out like gaming computers, you know, like it's just out of this world. The technology that's right there, that's ready to be unlocked and especially militarized, and Canada can really capitalize on something like this. This is good. I'm all for it. It's kind of interesting.
The Defense Industrial Pledge encompasses both assets and infrastructure that support our defense goals. Canada is confident that our economic strategy and our many strategic resources, from critical minerals to cyber, will make major contributions to NATO security.
That's good.
We will support tangible commitments from our allies to provide NATO with the necessary resolve to deter aggression and protect against all adversaries in all domains. Our fundamental goal in all of this is to protect Canadians, not to satisfy NATO accountants. Ce qui va assurer notre sécurité est celle de tous les citoyens des pays and impactfully, et celle que nous présenterons à nos alliés de l'OTAN plus tard ce mois-ci. We will undertake this transformation of our military capabilities strategically, deliberately, and impactfully. Canada's Department of National Defence will immediately design a new defense policy that reflects both today's and tomorrow's threats, informed by experts, some in this room, and the experience of allies and partners, including Ukraine. We're in the process of creating a new defense procurement agency that will be guided by that new defense industrial strategy and overseen by our newly appointed Secretary of State for Defense Procurement. The Defense Procurement Agency will centralize decision-making and move at pace to get our armed forces the equipment they need when they need it. We will ensure that Canadian workers and businesses benefit from the huge increase in defense procurement that will be required, using Canadian steel, Canadian aluminum, Canadian critical minerals, Canadian cyber. Nous allons renforcer nos capacités.
Look, I know we don't like the guy, but some of the stuff he's saying is actually pretty good, right? And to anyone's rebuttal of, well, these are Pierre Poilievre's ideas, he stole them from Pierre. Yeah, but don't forget, Pierre is pro-Canada. And Pierre wanted him to, he said, just take the ideas and fix Canada. Take the ideas, they're good ideas, and fix Canada. Pierre Poilievre literally said that. So this whole idea of being like against, look, if he doesn't pull it off, then yeah, screw this guy. But when it comes to our defense spending, we are so freaking far behind, ladies and gentlemen. We all know this. We're so vulnerable. We haven't been hitting our 2% target that's been required since 2014. 2014, NATO pulled us and Germany aside and said, hey, you guys are supposed to be hitting 2%. What's up with that? Germany and Canada both agreed, okay, yeah, we'll do that in the next 10 years by 2024. We promise. We so sorry for not hitting the target. 2024 came. Germany hit 2%. Where's Canada under Justin Trudeau? 1.3% or something. Like insanely low. Our military's been unhappy. Our military's understaffed. Our military is having a hard time with its turnover rate. Our military is using old equipment. It's very underfunded. Even Aaron Gunn, who's a freaking MP now, did a whole documentary video about the Canadian military under Justin Trudeau and how Trudeau and the Liberals have absolutely screwed over our military. And now you got this guy, like, screw the party stuff. Never mind, just for the defense, never mind the left versus the right. You got some guy who's coming in, who's in power immediately saying, we're going to put this much money into the defense. Great. It doesn't matter if it was the NDP. It doesn't matter if it was the Green Party. As long as somebody's doing it and actually spends the money to do it, that's good. And if it's a lot of money, who cares? It's our defense. It's our life or death. That's what it comes down to, right? So spend the money, get it done. That's what we should all be about. Of course, we can have our preference on which party got to do it, for sure, right? For legacy, for credit, for notoriety, for political status. Yeah, all those things. Phenomenal. But actually just getting it done is so important.
It will be challenging to protect Canada and Canadians against growing and changing threats, all while building a stronger Canadian economy. But these are the imperatives of a more dangerous world. And as His Majesty the King reminded us just 2 weeks ago, our greatest challenges present immense opportunities. To build the military we need, we can deploy and develop Canadian innovation, Canadian ingenuity, Canadian industry. The transformation of our military capabilities can help with the transformation of our economy. Today, national defense already accounts for over 275,000 direct and indirect jobs across the country in over 3,000 communities, every province, every territory. Our renewed commitment to defense will create tens of thousands of more fulfilling, high-paying careers for Canadian workers. It will create enormous opportunities for Canadian businesses, yes, in the defense sector, but across a link of supply chains. From the production of the raw materials, steel and aluminum, to the truckers and rail workers who ensure their transit, to those who transform those materials into equipment, weapons, ammunition, vehicles. It will help drive innovation in sectors including AI, quantum, and cyber. It will safeguard Canada, as well as our interests and allies abroad. It will build Canada strong.
To place a rebuttal to that defense spending, you have content creator Pierre Poilievre doing a press conference from the gallery here in Parliament. We're going to pull this up. I don't mean it as a disrespectful content creator thing. I know he's leader of the opposition. It's just weird him not having a seat. You know what I'm saying? It feels different. I know he's still Pierre. He's still the same Pierre from a few months ago, but it just feels freaking weird. I can't be the only one who thinks that. He's doing this is on his YouTube channel. This is a Pierre Poilievre YouTube live stream that he's doing right now. So we're going to take a look at it.
Decade of liberal cuts, mismanagement, and back office bureaucracy, of boondoggles, and wasted money on bungled projects. Our military has never been weaker. Now more than ever, we need a strong military that will reassert our sovereignty in the north, take back control of our Arctic waters. We need at least one, but probably two Arctic bases. We need fighter jets, Poseidon aircraft. We need 4 and not 2 icebreakers to bust up the ice and reassert that we are properly the ones that lay claim over our Arctic waters. We also need to fill the massive number of vacancies that have built up in our military after the last decade. by increasing the dollars available to recruit and focusing the military on a warrior culture that actually inspires people to want to join again. All of this is going to take money, and that's why we support getting back to the 2% target as soon as possible. And we will support additional money for our military.
There you go. Pierre Poilievre literally supports Mark Carney's decision to hit 2% this year. He just said it. That's why we support the decision to hit 2% immediately. And in fact, for any criticism that's gone towards Carney of our defense spending, I will never defend Carney. But when it comes to our defense, whoever wants to spend more gets my support. Straight up. Not my vote, but you get my support, because we should be putting way more money into. We have one of the biggest land masses in the world, and we got no defense at all. We got one boat that floats, kinda. You gotta like hit it, right? You gotta hit it on the top of the motor so it kind of works properly. Like, it's insane what's going on. So Pierre says he supports Carney's decision for the amount of military spending that he wants to do, but he's criticizing it, saying it's not enough, which is great. It isn't enough. We should be putting $10 trillion into our defense. We should be the iron northern fist. We should be the impenetrable ice wall that nobody can access Canada through illegal immigration, through military force. We should be unpenetrable. Right? We should be putting trillions and trillions of dollars into our defense. Absolutely. We should be putting more. Right? That's what everybody should be agreeing on. You want to live in Canada? You want to feel safe in Canada? Let's put money into our defense. Put money into our military. Upgrade the equipment. Learn new things. Fight the new modern warfare style, right? Because it's not just conventional battleground stuff. It's involving quantum computing. It's involving drones. That costs money. That costs resources. We should be putting more.
Terry, that's why we're calling on the government to bring in a budget, because all of this will require a budget.
Agreed.
A budget that not only puts this money forward, clearly identifies where it comes from, but cuts waste in bureaucracy, consultants, foreign aid, corporate welfare, and other areas, so that the necessary increase in the military does not come as an inflationary burden on the backs of our Canadian taxpayers, who've been suffering for far too long. As always, we stand ready to work with all parties to put Canada first, to defend our country, and most important of all, to honor the brave men and women in uniform, the soldiers, sailors, and airmen who make up our forces and protect our sovereignty. We will always put them first, and we will work with anybody in any party to make that happen. Thank you very much.
So you're saying you support this. Will you be supporting the supplementary estimates that include this $9 billion extra dollars?
Well, we have to see the supplementary estimates. What we've seen is the mains. We have, sorry?
I believe they were tabled.
Oh, they were tabled this morning. Okay, I haven't seen them yet, so that part is true. So we were both right. I'll have to take a look at the subs and see what's in there. And was there anything else in there, or is it just this?
There's definitely other things in it, I'm sure. I haven't had a chance to parse through it.
Okay. Pierre's living that content creator life. Waking up late, drinking coffee, walking his dog if he's got one. That's kind of funny, to be honest. Not in like a ridiculous way. Like, I'm just trying to make light of the situation, right? The reporter's seen it. He hasn't seen it. Maybe the two MPs behind him have seen it. That's kind of funny.
We're going to have to go to the library, the two of us, and go through the subs, I guess. Eh?
On another topic then, pipelines. I'm wondering, what would you do if there's a situation where Alberta and BC, for example, are butting heads about a project? Do you think, like Mark Carney, there needs to be consensus to go forward with these big nation-building projects?
No, we've got to get it done. We need a pipe. At the end of the day, if you wait till everybody agrees on everything, nothing will happen. You're never going to get everybody to agree on every single project. And bottom line is, we're giving 90% of our oil and 100% of our gas to the Americans at enormous price discounts. This is costing us tens of billions of dollars every single year, to the exclusive benefit of American refineries and commodity traders who are able to take our product, bid up the price by $15 and sell it on the world stage, and do that literally about a billion times a year. And that is insane. So we can't wait any longer. We have to get things done. And it's going to take some backbone. And so we as Conservatives believe in pushing ahead with pipelines, and the shortest route is to the Pacific. You know, any other route is going to be even harder politically and physically. Yeah. So we need a pipeline to the Pacific, and if the Prime Minister says he's going to wait till everyone agrees, then nothing will get done, which is what has been happening for the last decade.
Agreed. I mean, British Columbia, David Eby is the only person and the only province in the way from getting Alberta's oil to the ocean. That's it. One province. And if you want to go east, then okay, then you got to go through all the other freaking provinces, man. Right, at least right through Quebec, right to the Saint Laurent, right? I mean, it's a no-brainer. Go west. Go to the Pacific, go through British Columbia, and ignore what David Eby says. And any climate activist that tries to sabotage the pipeline, freaking jail for life for you and all of your family associated. Just North Korea it. Who cares? You're going to have climate activists. This is a danger of politics. When you have politicians that are so against things like pipelines, when the pipeline eventually gets built, all of the radical left-wing nut jobs that have been following the province's guide on all this stuff, they get overly involved and start to go, well, you know what? We're just going to protest it and take matters into our own hands. And they're going to go and damage it. It's already, the writing is already on the wall. It's already there on the wall. They're going to go damage it, and Canada is too slack on crime. So we're going to have a freaking pipeline that's going to be attacked constantly by these losers, these freaking climate activists. And it's just, you need to take harder action on crime. Just forward thinking, right? Forward thinking.
To go back to defense spending.
We'll go to Stephanie, and then we'll go French.
Okay, just to go back to defense spending, you talked about the need to get to 2%, but the global conversation now seems to be moving towards 5%. So
that's right.
Do you support that, and do you see a realistic way that Canada could get there?
I haven't seen anyone hit 5%. Maybe I'm missing some. Has anyone hit 5% yet? Yeah. Who's at 5?
Not yet.
No one.
Yeah, Poland is getting about 4%.
Poland's up to 4, but I haven't seen any country hit 5. I think the Americans are 3.6 right now.
Yeah, 3.4.
3.4. This is my human encyclopedia here. But you know, what I also think we need to remember is let's focus on what we get done with the money we spend. It shouldn't simply be a question of the dollar figure. You know, if the government has another 10 big boondoggles like they did on the F-35 by canceling and then rebuying it, they would be able to get up to 3 or 4% without increasing any of our capabilities. I want us to focus on our capabilities. Yes, we'll hit the 2%, and then we can discuss how much higher to go after that. But the focus of NATO and our country has to be what extra defense capabilities are we able to add, and how can we be the strongest possible military with the most affordable price tag to the taxpayer at the same time. Thank you. Wait.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Let's get to 2%. Let's see what that looks like, and then we can reevaluate. Like, it's easy to just throw money at something, right? It's very easy to just, when you have that billions, those billions and billions of dollars there, you can throw money on consulting fees, right? Because what are we going to spend? What are we going to spend that money on? An extra $5 billion in the military? Well, consulting fees, somebody has to decide on what to spend that money on, and it's not the federal government. The federal government writes the check. So who's deciding what to spend that money on? Well, they're the contractors. Okay, so then they hire a bunch of people to work for them. Say, okay, well, we're going to get this from Lockheed Martin, not from Boeing. We're going to get this software from Palantir. We're going to do all these things. So it trickles down. $5 billion ends up being like $3.5 or $4 billion of that, or $4.2 billion makes it to the actual equipment and money injected into the system. But the rest is all people writing their consulting fee, invoices. And that's just kind of how it's been in Canada. So we have to make sure that that money is properly spent as well. So let's get to 2% this year. That's phenomenal. Pierre even agrees. Pierre agrees with me agreeing with Carney. So we're all in agreement. Let's put a shit ton of money into our defense spending. That's awesome. And then let's spend more. Let's spend more on our defense. We should be an impenetrable northern stronghold where people think, well, how do we get into America? Let's go through Canada. No, don't go through Canada. They've got all this defense spending, all this crazy stuff. You're never, ever, ever going to get through. Don't do it. So that's what we should be striving to be.
Questions.
Questions.
Conservatives have tabled a motion in this House that the Liberal government finally put forward a fiscally responsible budget. This Prime Minister says that he wants to be held to account based on what Canadians are paying for their groceries. But instead of putting forward a budget or bringing down grocery prices, he's introduced $500 billion in what we can only assume is more inflationary spending, with Canadians expected to pay an additional $800 in groceries this year over what they paid last year. Our ask is very simple for this Liberal government after 10 years of their inflationary spending.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, there will be a budget in the fall of this year, but you know what's a bit rich for Canadians watching at home is to see these Conservatives who have consistently, at every step of the way, voted against affordability measure. Mr. Speaker, they voted against childcare. They voted against pharmacare. They voted against the dental program we have in Canada. Mr. Speaker, how can you stand up in this House seriously and criticize this government where at every step of the way you fail Canadian to have their back in times of
Why
need?
is he whispering, yelling, and talking softly? That, ladies and gentlemen, concludes the video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you did, it'd be super awesome for you guys to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't yet already, and I'll see you in another one. Bye for now.